Why does it move like that? A curious alien's first encounter with humanity. The sky above Earth was quiet, still. The stars flickered like cold fireflies in a distant universe. But nothing in the night sky could have prepared anyone for what was about to happen. Something from beyond the stars was arriving. Something that had never seen the world it was about to enter. It came slowly, unnoticed by the people below. The alien craft was like a shadow in the sky, gliding through the atmosphere with no sound. It looked almost like a floating piece of metal, dark and smooth, reflecting the light of the moon. No one saw it. It was as if the world was waiting for it, yet had no idea what was to come. Inside the ship, the alien was watching. It was nothing like a human, nothing like anything on Earth. Its body was sleek and smooth like metal and glass woven together. Its eyes were wide, black and round, constantly scanning everything in its view. The alien was curious, its mind racing with thoughts that were difficult to express. It had traveled a long way to reach this planet, and now it was finally here. The alien ship hovered just above a small town, the lights of the houses twinkling below like little stars. It was fascinated by the movement of humans down there. It had studied them from afar, observing their patterns, their behavior, trying to understand how they lived. But watching them on its screen was nothing like seeing them in real life. The alien sensors picked up the heartbeat of the world around it, the warmth of living creatures, the rush of wind through trees, the hum of voices in the distance. It was strange how alive everything was, and yet there was something off about it. The humans, the very creatures the alien had come to study, moved in ways that confused it. They did not move like other beings the alien had encountered in its travels. There was an odd unpredictability to them. One moment they would be still, and the next they would run, laugh, shout, or fall silent. It made no sense. The alien's curiosity grew stronger with each passing second. It had to understand what made these humans so different. It had to see them up close. Its mission was clear: study humanity and learn what made them tick. The ship moved lower, silently descending until it was just above a park. The grass rustled beneath the craft, but no one noticed. The alien had perfected its technology. No one would see it. Not yet. It hovered above a group of people walking through the park, their laughter filling the air. They were chatting about something, their voices blending with the sound of the wind. The alien watched them closely, its large black eyes following every movement. One human, a man, looked up at the sky. His gaze lingered on the stars above, but the alien was not interested in the stars. It was the human's movements that caught its attention. The way he turned his head, the way his body shifted with each step, the rhythm of his breath. It was strange. The alien focused on the way the man walked. Humans had a kind of fluidity to their movements that the alien did not understand. Their bodies shifted in ways that seemed to follow no pattern, no logic. One moment they were calm. The next they were jumping, running, spinning, or bending. It was as if the human body was alive with its own kind of energy. An energy the alien had never seen before. It was both beautiful and confusing. The alien's hand moved over its console, zooming in on the human. It wanted to study this. It wanted to understand how the human's muscles and bones moved beneath the skin. But the more it studied, the more questions it had. Why did the human's body shift so quickly? Why did it leap and twist? There was no pattern, no explanation that the alien could find. The alien tried to analyze it, sending a signal to its ship's core system, hoping for answers. The system processed the data, but it came back with a simple result. No match found. The alien was baffled. It had encountered hundreds of species, each with their own movements, their own ways of being. But humans were different. Humans were unpredictable. This was something new, something it had not expected. The alien ship shifted slightly, hovering just a little lower, trying to get a better view. But in doing so, it made a small noise, a soft, barely noticeable hum. The man below stopped walking. His head turned slowly, his eyes narrowing as if he had heard something. The alien froze. Did he know it was there? Was he aware of the ship hovering above? The man's gaze swept over the park, his eyes scanning the trees, the grass, the sky. The alien held its breath, wondering if this human could sense its presence. But after a long pause, the man shrugged and continued walking, unaware. The alien felt a strange relief. It had not been seen. Yet the feeling of curiosity only grew stronger. It had come to learn, and now it was even more determined to understand these strange beings, humans, who moved in ways it could not begin to explain. The ship remained in the sky, watching, waiting for its next move. It had only just begun its journey into understanding humanity, but what it did not know was that this moment, this quiet encounter, would set off a chain of events that it could never have predicted. Its arrival was just the beginning. The alien was no longer content with merely observing. The movement of humans had fascinated it beyond measure, but now it had to understand. It had to get closer, to feel the strange energy that made these beings so unpredictable. It was time to step out of the shadows. The craft hovered silently above the ground, its dark metallic surface blending seamlessly with the night sky. The alien sensors scanned the area below, searching for the perfect moment to make its move. It had watched humans from a distance long enough. Now, it needed to experience them up close, to feel what it had only been able to analyze from afar. There was a small gathering of people in the park, their laughter and voices filling the night air. The alien's eyes locked onto them. This group would be the first test. It had studied human movement for hours, weeks even, but now, it needed to see if it could replicate it. The alien's ship slowly descended to the ground, its outer layer shifting to blend with the environment. The transformation was almost seamless, and in a matter of seconds, the ship became a featureless part of the landscape. From the outside, it was impossible to tell there was anything unusual in the park. Inside the craft, the alien's body adjusted. Its sleek metallic form shifted, becoming more malleable, changing its shape to mirror the form of a human. It was a crude imitation, far from perfect, but it would do. The alien did not understand the subtleties of human anatomy, but it could adapt quickly. It had studied the human body for hours, and now it was ready to try, to walk among them. The transformation was complete. The alien, now disguised as a human, stepped cautiously out of the ship. The grass beneath its feet felt foreign, and the sensation of walking on two legs awkwardly as if for the first time was strange. The alien took a few unsteady steps, unsure of the motions. Its mind raced, calculating how to move like a human, how to blend in. It tried to mimic the natural flow of a human walk. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. But the movements were off. There was no fluidity. The alien stumbled slightly, but it quickly caught its balance, trying again. Its hands were stiff at its sides, and the alien forced them to relax, trying to make them seem more natural. A group of humans passed by. The alien's heart, or what could be considered its equivalent, began to race. Its eyes widened. How would they react? Would they notice something was wrong? The alien tried to hold its composure, walking among the humans without drawing attention, but every step felt like a challenge. It could see their bodies moving so easily, so effortlessly, while it struggled to imitate them. One of the humans, a woman, glanced at the alien as she walked by. The alien stiffened, but she did not seem to notice anything unusual. She smiled politely, perhaps out of habit, but the alien could feel her eyes linger for just a second too long. Was it doing something wrong? The alien kept moving, trying to act as if nothing was amiss. It focused on the sensation of its feet touching the ground, the weight of its body shifting with each step. The muscles, those strange, flexible muscles, tensed and relaxed as it walked. The body was complex, and the alien struggled to find the rhythm that humans took for granted. The further the alien walked, the more it became aware of how little it understood. Every time it thought it had figured out the pattern of movement, something unexpected would happen. A human would laugh. Another would jump up from a bench. The alien could not predict the randomness, the chaotic beauty of human life. It slowed down, standing still for a moment, trying to take it all in. The sounds, the sights, the movements, all of it was overwhelming. It began to notice things it hadn't before. The way a child skipped ahead, the way a man reached for his phone, the way two people interacted. There was something alive about it all. These humans weren't just moving for the sake of moving. Their movements were driven by something deeper, something the alien had not yet understood. But it was more than just the movements that puzzled the alien. It was the energy that radiated from these humans. The laughter, the joy, the anger, the sadness, it was all wrapped up in their movements. The alien could sense it all, but it could not comprehend why it was happening. Why did they feel this way? What was the source of this strange, unpredictable energy? The alien's attention was drawn to a group of young humans sitting on a bench. One of them, an older man, perhaps in his mid-30s, was talking animatedly to the others. He gestured wildly with his hands, his body twisting with every word. The alien watched closely, trying to analyze the purpose of his movements. Was it just a form of communication? Or was there something more to it? The alien could feel its mind stretching, attempting to grasp the concept of human expression. It took another step forward. The humans around it continued their conversations, unaware of the strange, silent observer among them. The alien felt its pulse quicken again, not out of fear but out of an intense desire to understand. It was no longer just observing, it was a part of it now. A small part, but a part nonetheless, and it could not stop itself from wanting to know more. Suddenly, the alien felt a jolt of discomfort, a sharp feeling in its chest. Was it something it had eaten? No, it was something far stranger. A deep, unsettling thought crept into its mind. Could it be that these humans, these unpredictable, chaotic creatures, had a power it had never encountered before? A power that could change everything? It could not afford to wait any longer. The alien had to act. It had to find out what lay beneath the surface of this world. The experiment had begun. The alien's curiosity was no longer something it could control. The more it interacted with humans, the deeper the mystery grew. It had observed them from above, tried to imitate them on the ground. But now it faced something far more challenging. The alien would have to confront a human directly. It had spent hours, days even, studying their behavior. It had seen how they interacted with each other, how they communicated without words, how they laughed, fought, and loved. Yet there was still one thing that eluded its understanding. Why did humans seem to possess such unpredictability? They had no logic to their actions, no pattern to their emotions. Their behavior was a puzzle that the alien could not solve. But as the alien walked through the park, its eyes locked onto a figure standing alone by a tree. It was a young woman no more than 20 years old, staring into the distance with a thoughtful expression. The alien's sensors immediately noted the woman's posture, the way her hands rested at her sides and the way her eyes scanned the horizon. There was something about her that seemed different from the others. She seemed more grounded, more at peace. The alien couldn't help but be drawn to her. It moved closer, its steps cautious but steady. The woman didn't notice the alien at first. She was lost in thought, unaware of the presence just behind her. The alien hovered a few feet away, carefully studying her. This time it didn't need to mimic human movement. It was here for a different reason: to observe, to understand, to learn what made this human tick. The alien studied the woman's every detail. Her hair, long and dark, flowed softly in the breeze. Her clothes were simple but well worn, as though she had lived through many seasons of change. There was something fragile about her, something that stirred the alien's emotions it didn't understand. Without thinking, the alien stepped closer, its footfall soft on the grass. The woman's eyes flickered, but she didn't turn around. She seemed to sense something, as if her instincts told her someone was near. The alien hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to proceed. "Are you lost?" the woman asked, her voice soft but clear. The alien froze. It hadn't expected her to speak. It didn't know how to respond. It had spent so much time studying human movement, but nothing had prepared it for this moment. It had never anticipated a direct confrontation. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The alien's mind raced. Should it speak? Could it speak? It had the ability to understand the language. But the nuances of human conversation, the emotions behind the words, were something it still couldn't grasp. The woman turned slowly, her eyes locking onto the alien's face. She studied the strange figure before her, confusion flickering in her eyes. The alien's heart, if it had one, raced. What was she thinking? What was she seeing? Did she know? Could she sense it? There was a moment of silence, a brief pause where both the alien and the woman stared at each other, locked in a strange dance of observation. Then the woman spoke again. "You don't look like you belong here." The alien blinked, unsure of how to respond. How could it explain its presence? It didn't have the words, the understanding to tell her the truth. Instead, it simply nodded, a subtle movement unsure of its meaning. The woman's gaze softened slightly, but there was still something wary in her expression. She seemed intrigued, but also cautious, as though she knew something was wrong. Something was off. The alien could feel the tension in the air, thick with unspoken questions and unacknowledged fear. "I'm just curious," the alien said in a voice that was soft but firm. It had never spoken before, but it knew the words. The language was simple, a basic human phrase, but it felt strange coming from its own mouth. How did humans use their voices to express such depth with so little? The woman studied the alien closely for a moment longer, her eyes flickering with an emotion the alien couldn't name. Was it fear? Was it sympathy? Perhaps something in between. The alien couldn't tell. "What are you curious about?" she asked, her voice less guarded now. It was as if she had made a decision, as if she was willing to entertain the idea that this strange figure wasn't a threat. The alien considered the question carefully. What was it curious about? The movements, the chaos of human behavior, the emotions that seemed to fuel their every action. It was all part of the puzzle. But there was one thing that stood out more than anything else. The alien was curious about the woman herself. "I want to understand you," the alien said slowly. It was the closest thing it could come to a real answer. "I want to know why you move like that." The woman's expression shifted. She looked almost amused. "Move like what?" The alien hesitated. It didn't know how to explain. To the alien, human movement was erratic, unpredictable, chaotic. It was unlike anything the alien had ever encountered. But the woman, she seemed to move so naturally, as if everything about her was exactly as it should be. "Your movements," the alien said. "You don't follow any pattern. One moment you stand still. The next you run, you jump, you twist, you laugh. It's not like anything else I've seen." The woman's expression softened, but her eyes were filled with something deeper. "It's just life. It's how we are. We do things because we feel them. There's no rhyme or reason to it. We just do." The alien processed the words, but they didn't make sense. How could something so unpredictable, so chaotic, be the core of what it meant to be human? The alien's mind raced, trying to comprehend the complexity of the human experience. The woman studied the alien for a moment longer before speaking again. "I don't know if you'll ever understand," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "But you're welcome to keep watching. Keep trying. Maybe one day you'll get it." And just like that, the alien was left standing alone in the park, the woman's words lingering in the air like a strange melody. It had learned something. But the more it learned, the more questions arose. Humans were a puzzle that couldn't be solved. Their movements, their lives, they were more than anything the alien could have imagined. The encounter had only just begun. The alien had been watching, observing, and yet, despite all its observations, something was still missing. It had studied the human body, the way they moved, their reactions, but none of it made sense. None of it explained the force, the energy that seemed to drive them. The more the alien delved into human interactions, the more questions emerged. And now, in this moment, the alien was faced with a deeper understanding, something it could not ignore. It wandered through the city at night, hidden in the shadows, its senses tingling with the overwhelming sensation of life. Humans were everywhere. Their movements were chaotic but full of purpose. Some walked hurriedly, others leisurely, some alone, others in groups. It wasn't just the movement that fascinated the alien. It was the undercurrent that powered everything. There was something in the way humans lived, something wild and untamed. It was when the alien encountered a small group of people, huddled together in a circle, that it realized the truth. The group was laughing, their voices blending into one chorus of shared joy. One man in particular stood out. He had a wide grin on his face as he told a story, his hands gesturing wildly. As the alien watched, it noticed something strange, a flicker of emotion that seemed to transfer between them. As if the laughter, the joy was contagious, spreading from one person to another. The alien stood still, hidden in the darkness, unable to look away. It wasn't just the sound of their laughter, it was the way it connected them. The joy wasn't individual, it was collective. It spread like wildfire, jumping from one person to the next like a spark igniting a flame. And in that moment, the alien felt something it had never experienced before. A strange longing. It wanted to understand that connection. How could something so simple, a laugh, a moment of shared joy, be so powerful? The alien's mind whirred, trying to comprehend what it was seeing. It had never encountered anything like this. It had studied hundreds of species, each with its own forms of communication, but none of them shared this kind of energy. None of them had the power to transmit emotions, to make others feel what they felt without even touching them. The alien realized it wasn't just about the body, the movement, or the actions, it was about the shared experience. There was something deeper here, something that humans carried inside them, something that bound them together in ways the alien had never imagined. Unable to stay in the shadows any longer, the alien stepped forward, its body visible for the first time in front of the group. The humans stopped laughing, their eyes shifting to the stranger who had appeared in their midst. There was a moment of hesitation, a brief flicker of fear that passed through their eyes, but the alien didn't move. It simply watched them, studying every expression, every glance exchanged between them. The man who had been telling the story looked at the alien, his expression unreadable. Then, without missing a beat, he smiled. "You want to hear the rest of it?" he asked, as if the appearance of a strange figure in the park was just another part of his story. The others laughed nervously, but the warmth of the moment didn't dissipate. The alien, confused by the man's response, took a step closer. You understand?" it asked, its voice tentative, unsure of the words. The humans looked at each other, puzzled. "You're not afraid?" the alien asked again. Its mind was reeling, its thoughts racing. It didn't understand how these humans could laugh and smile so easily, even when something so unknown stood before them. The man shrugged, still smiling. "Fear's overrated," he said. "You'd be surprised what you can get used to. But hey, you're welcome to join us." The alien was silent, processing his words. The humans before it seemed so at ease. Why weren't they afraid? The alien had seen species flee at the mere hint of something out of place, but these humans, they didn't run. They didn't recoil. They accepted the unknown. They embraced it. In that moment, something inside the alien clicked. It was the connection, the bond between them that gave humans their strength. It wasn't just the physical body. It wasn't just the movements. It was the collective power of their shared experiences, their emotions, their thoughts, their laughter, and even their fear that shaped them. The alien had been focusing too much on the surface, on the mechanics of human behavior, but it now realized it was the invisible forces, the connections, that made them truly unique. And just as quickly as the realization struck, the alien understood the magnitude of what it had discovered. It was no longer an outsider, standing apart from the humans it had been studying. The alien was a part of it now. It had witnessed the invisible thread that connected them, the way their emotions bled into one another, how they drew strength from their shared experiences. The alien's mind raced with this newfound knowledge. It had been observing, trying to learn, but now it understood that the key to humanity was not in its movements or its words. It was in the way they came together, how they found strength in unity even in the face of uncertainty. There was something powerful in their vulnerability. They didn't have to be perfect. They didn't have to have all the answers. But together, they were stronger than anything the alien had encountered. The alien looked at the humans around it, its heart, or whatever passed for it, thrumming with the energy it had never known. The man who had spoken earlier smiled again, his expression warm, inviting. The alien felt something stir inside it, something it couldn't explain. It didn't know what to do with this feeling, but it knew one thing. It was no longer an observer. It was part of the story now. As the group laughed again, the alien couldn't help but join in. The sound was strange at first, a sound it had never made before, but it felt right. The laughter rippled through the group, and the alien felt a sense of belonging it had never known. It had found what it was looking for, but the discovery was only the beginning. The alien stood at the edge of the park, the sounds of laughter still lingering in the air. The warmth of the human connection seemed to cling to its skin, a feeling it could not shake. It had come to Earth seeking knowledge, hoping to understand the strange creatures that lived here. But now, after everything it had seen, everything it had experienced, it was no longer sure of what it wanted. The questions that had once driven it were no longer enough. There was something more, something far deeper at the heart of humanity, and the alien couldn't ignore it any longer. The moment it had shared with the group, their laughter, their openness, had changed something inside it. The alien had always been distant, detached. It had watched species from the outside, observing them like an outsider, never truly connecting. But now it realized how different this world was. It had seen humanity's rawness, its unpredictability, its ability to find meaning in chaos. The alien had always understood logic, order, and precision, but this was something else entirely, something it hadn't anticipated. The more the alien thought about it, the more conflicted it became. It had come to Earth to learn, to gather data, but it had also felt something it had never experienced before, a sense of belonging. It wasn't an observer anymore. It was part of something. But what was it part of? Was it simply studying humanity from within? Or was it beginning to understand something more profound? The lines between the alien and human began to blur. For the first time, the alien understood why the humans behaved the way they did. It wasn't just the unpredictability of their movements, their emotions, or their actions. It was their ability to connect with one another, to forge bonds in the face of uncertainty. The alien had seen them fight, struggle, and even betray each other, but it had also seen them love, heal, and come together in ways no other species had ever done. Their imperfections, their flaws, were not weaknesses. They were the very things that made them strong. But now the alien was faced with a choice. It had learned more than it ever thought possible about humanity, and yet, there was still a part of it that remained an outsider. There was still so much it didn't understand, so much it couldn't feel. Could it truly be a part of this world? Could it ever live as a human, with all the messiness, the chaos, the beauty, and the pain that came with it? The alien walked slowly through the city streets, the weight of its thoughts pressing down on it. The human world seemed different now, more alive, more complex. Every person it saw, every movement, every word spoken held a significance it hadn't noticed before. It was all connected, all part of a larger picture, a larger story that the alien couldn't quite grasp. There was a beauty in the chaos, a rhythm to the unpredictability, and the alien couldn't help but feel drawn to it. Yet, despite its growing understanding, a nagging doubt lingered in the alien's mind. Could it ever truly belong? Could it become one with the humans it had studied so thoroughly? Or would it always remain separate, an observer of a world it could never fully be a part of? The alien's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden movement ahead. A group of humans was gathered around a small street performance, their attention focused on a juggler tossing glowing balls into the air. The crowd laughed and cheered, their faces lit by the soft glow of the neon lights. The alien stood still, watching them. The scene was simple, yet it struck something deep within it. These humans didn't care about perfection. They didn't need to understand everything. They simply lived. They embraced the moment, the joy, the connection. It was then that the alien realized the truth. It didn't need to understand everything to be a part of this world. The humans didn't need to be perfect to connect with one another. They didn't need to be flawless to experience the richness of life. They embraced their flaws, their chaos, and made something beautiful out of it. The alien had been searching for order, for logic, but perhaps it had missed the point entirely. As the juggler finished his performance, the crowd erupted in applause. The alien felt a wave of warmth wash over it, a feeling it couldn't quite name, but that seemed to settle deep inside its being. It understood now. It didn't need to belong in the way it had imagined. It didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to live, to feel, to experience the world as it was. The alien walked toward the crowd, blending in with the humans as they celebrated the small, simple joy of the performance. It no longer felt like an outsider, no longer felt detached from the world around it. It was a part of something. Not because it had understood every detail or followed every rule, but because it had allowed itself to connect. The laughter, the smiles, the shared moment of joy, they were enough. It didn't need anything more. As the crowd began to disperse, the alien stood alone for a moment, letting the feeling of belonging settle within it. The choice it had been wrestling with wasn't about whether or not it could live as a human. It wasn't about fitting in or following a set of rules. The choice was simple. Would it embrace the chaos, the imperfection, the unpredictability that made humans who they were, or would it remain apart, forever observing from the outside?